I made an interesting discovery while I was making a separate video talking about stuff in the trailer that kind of proves what kind of game it is. It sounds weird, you need context for that. Anyways, as I was making that video, I discovered something unfortunate. The trailer, not what was in the trailer, but the analytics of the trailer. Take a look at this. 1.7 million views for the Secret of the Mimic trailer on Steel Wool Studios' page. Now on the PlayStation page it has like 2.3, so yeah, a little more than that, 2.3. We'll go with 2.3 for now. But you might be thinking, oh, that's not bad. That's pretty good for a double A company. But for Five Nights at Freddy's, that's terrible. That's awful numbers. And to prove my point, let me show you. The original trailer for the first Five Nights at Freddy's game has 16 million views. Now you're probably thinking, oh, well, the game blew up then, right? That doesn't really count. The second trailer has 26 million views. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, the games were getting up by then. They were getting more and more popular, you know. The third game, 33 million. 33. Fourth game, 24 million. And then the sister location was all like, alright, hold my beer, 32 million. Bruh. And then Pizzeria Simulator didn't really have a trailer. Ultimate Custom Night didn't have a trailer. And then, complete tonal shift here. The first Help Wanted trailer, if we're taking the absolute peak between Nintendo and PlayStation, a max of 2 million views. But really 1.1 million because the Switch one came out so much later. That's a huge downgrade, but the game was already advertised as VR. Maybe fewer people cared, you know. So we could chalk that up to kind of like a big hardware difference. You know, a lot of people wouldn't be able to play this game anyways. So, you know, let's move past that. Let's move past that one for now. The Security Breach trailer has 20 million views. A separate version of it, 11 million. The teaser, 11 million. Heck, even the Ruined DLC trailer has almost 7 million. I thought there was a version that had more. Somewhere. Oh, I guess I was wrong. Still, huge uptick, right? We're going back to, like, closer to the original numbers, right? Okay. Then Security Breach flopped. But then you got Help Wanted 2, which has 2 million views. Okay, you know. Back to the VR thing. A lot of people probably don't have that. I don't care. Whatever. Yada, yada, yada. And then you have Secret of the Mimic, which I believe, outside of Security Breach's DLC, is the first non-VR trailer to not hit double-digit million views. Not only does it not hit that, it doesn't even pass 2 million. It doesn't even pass 2 million. What's going on here? What happened? Now, I recently saw a Reddit post asking, why are people hyped for Secret of the Mimic? What's going on here? Why do people not care? And I know the answer. It's a sucky one, and it's kind of obvious, but I know the answer regardless. But I'm gonna backtrack first and look at Scott Cawthon's games because it really is important. So if we rewind to the first Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously it was a huge hit. It was extremely unique for its time. It was a very sort of uncanny, nostalgic trip of horror. Probably like what clowns felt like when they first became a horror concept, but now we have like the animatronics. That was all cool. But what got people was the storytelling. It was really bizarre, offhanded storytelling. Like, there were details there, but like, not enough. Not enough. We didn't know who the killer was, right? And who's Golden Freddy? What was going on with Golden Freddy, right? Crazy stuff. The sequel compounded on that to the point of kind of becoming illegible to the average person. And then 3 hammered down on it. But the important thing to note here is that all these games were released very quickly and were made by one guy. They were all made by one person. It wasn't really until like Sister Location, I think, where Scott finally got a little bit of help with some like art stuff here and there, some voice acting and whatnot. But again, like, by the time the 4th game came out, people were starting to get kind of sick of the storytelling. But then Sister Location was so cool and unique, I think a lot of people didn't really care, right? I didn't care. I love Sister Location. It's one of my favorites. But an important detail here is Pizzeria Simulator ended the story. The story ended with Pizzeria Simulator. Technically, Ultimate Custom Night, if you want to get picky about it, but Pizzeria Simulator, Afton dies. The villain dies. The souls are put to rest. That's it. Story's done. And if I'm looking at Help Wanted's release date here... Actually, why am I looking at Help Wanted? I can just look at... Ultimate Custom Night released the summer of 2018. So, it took Scott about a little less than 4 years, about a month before then. So, like, almost 4 years exactly, to finish his own story. That's pretty crazy. And considering the weird abstract storytelling he was using, that's not really that bad. He released like 7 games in 4 years. I think a lot of people can get on with that, because his story ended. Enter Steelwool Studios, who bought the rights to make the games, and I don't think any of us want FNaF to end necessarily. We want more experiences with the sort of animatronic horror, but the story continued. And that's where people really started dropping off. Not with Help Wanted in particular. Help Wanted was fine. Help Wanted seemed to introduce a new villain, but the story wasn't super vague. It was kind of like, hey, Afton's returning, even though we know he wasn't. But, it was fun. And the VR Five Nights at Freddy's, awesome. Great stuff, right? Enter Security Breach. Poof! The lid blew off. It was over. Security Breach threw everything for a loop. The Ruined DLC as well. So, in context, Security Breach came out in December 2021. It was rushed. It was unfinished. It was super buggy. The story was all over the place. It was so ridiculous in hindsight. But more importantly, it made the story even more confusing. Not only that, the Ruin DLC did even more. And it kind of introduced the game players to the Mimic, even though we had him in the books already. Books were a thing. I think you know where I'm going with this. The story. The story is freaking ridiculous. It has been 10 years. 10 years since we started Five Nights at Freddy's story. It's the same story, and it's still going. Because I'm pretty sure if game theories were correct, I don't know if they've retconned their own theories at this point, but if they were correct, Afton had something to do with the Mimic's existence. I don't freaking know. I kind of gave up on trying to understand this stuff a while ago, because it just doesn't stop changing. It's ridiculous. The difference is, Scott did his story in like 4 years. Okay, we got a little older, but we were able to stick around that long, because we could see that the story was progressing. We saw new things, right? It was cool back then. It's not cool anymore. We're expecting something else. We are 10 years older than we were when the first Five Nights at Freddy's came out. 10 years. I was 14 when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 came out. I'm almost 25. So, shortly, a couple weeks after Secret of the Mimic comes out, I will be 25 years old. I still remember hearing, "Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier. Welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's." Oh, good times. But that's ludicrous. The franchise itself has not aged along with us. It just keeps trying to keep that lightning in the bottle. It keeps trying to recapture lightning in the bottle when there's not even a thunderstorm happening. It just keeps trying desperately over and over again. And people are sick of it. I think the lid's kind of finally blown off the cap. The cap's blown off the bottle. It's done. I think Steelwool has finally stretched it too far. Now, it's a salvageable situation. This was kind of a little rant. It's a salvageable situation. It is. All you have to do is, please give us a little more. Please, bro. A little more detail, please. I said this in a previous video of mine, but we are still questioning the identity of Golden Freddy. Cassidy is not even the 100% confirmed identity. If game theory and other theorists are correct, Golden Freddy may not have even been one soul. Why? Why? Like, I don't know what to say. I really don't. It's ridiculous. Why? Why are we still telling the story in the exact same way when we keep getting given new information? We still don't know old information. Old information still eludes us. Why are we piling up? Why does the information now look like the blob from Security Breach's fire ending thing? Like, that big blob of melted animatronics together. Why is the lore looking like that? It has to stop. It just has to. Now, you had a game like, I kind of forgot to mention this game, but it was the Into the Pit tie-in game for the book. That was good because it wasn't really trying to add new lore. It was a tie-in. It showed what the Mimic was capable of. That's fine. That's cool. And it was a good game on top of that, right? We could use a few more of games like that. But, again, the franchise is 10 years old. It's the exact same story. We have to move on, guys. You can tell new stories. That's fine. But we still don't even have old questions answered yet. It's ridiculous. I don't know what else to say other than that. The fans, we now have new versus old fans. And the old fans are leaving because the games are still treating us as if we're the same fans from 2014. We're the same people, but I think we're just sick of trying to keep up with this crap. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. I don't usually get angry. I'm not really angry about it, because I'm going to keep playing each new game. I don't really care. I've loved each new installment so far, including Security Breach. It has problems, but I still like it a lot. I don't know. I really don't. It's kind of stupid. It's ridiculous. Again, I want new games, but we're all burned out of the story. And it's not even hard to tell why. I think Steel Wool, with the Secret of the Mimic trailer sort of flopping so badly in comparison, are finally going to see this. I don't know if they're going to try to course correct and fix this. But the main issue is, where are we going after the Mimic saga? Because from Help Wanted to now, it's the Mimic. We're all dealing with the Mimic. So what do we do when the Mimic's gone? Because he has to go at some point, right? I know he's kind of trapped in the basement of the Pizzaplex. Let's be real, he's probably not going to stay there very long. Where's he? Where are we going to go from there? We still don't even know what the deal with Gregory is. What's the deal with Gregory? I believe he's a robot. I called it before Game Theory called it. Not publicly, but trust me, bro, I said it. You gotta believe me, bro. And not only that, the games themselves aren't really unique enough anymore to justify the existence of the lore going crazy. Security Breach tried new things, and that's cool. But it's kind of Help Wanted, sort of keeping the train going with, like, cool new experiences and things like that. The Ruin DLC was really good. So they're not failing. It's just that stupid story. There are other mascot horror games that are making better progress than Five Nights at Freddy's is, and they came out years later. When did the first Poppy Playtime come out? The first chapter of Poppy Playtime came out in 2021 when Security Breach released. It was a couple months beforehand, but still. I haven't played every single game, but from what I have played, they are making better story progress than Five Nights at Freddy's. Guys, it's time to stop. You can keep being vague, but you have to give us closure on old stuff. You can't just keep piling on top of the same old leaf pile. You can't just keep regurgitating the same story and creating a pile. It's ridiculous. That was a little rant on the state of the story. I'm sure people have said this 1,000 times. I'm not unique. I'm not pretending to be, alright? I love Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm going to stick around for it. I'm going to keep reviewing every game as they come out. So you should subscribe for that. But it's not a hard problem to fix, necessarily. And that's kind of what's so annoying about it. Anyways, I'll see y'all when Secret of the Mimic comes out. Yeet.